Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are San Diego.
It was a dark and stormy afternoon in San Diego. Didn't look like baseball weather, but have no fear. The skies are clear. Beautiful night for baseball. Game 2, Rockies and Padres coming up. Last night, the Padres got the second half of their season off to a loud start. They played some long ball. Matt Kemp and Jed Jerko both went deep in the first inning against Colorado. Justin Upton added on later in the night as the big bats in the middle of the order did big damage for the Padres as they took the first game of this series against the Colorado Rockies. Welcome to Game 2 and welcome to Petco Park. It's the Rockies and the Padres from downtown San Diego. With Mark Sweeney, I'm Jesse Agler. Hey, that was everything you could have asked for last night, Mark Sweeney. And maybe the most exciting thing is that a couple of the guys in the middle of it for San Diego, Matt Kemp and Justin Upton.
Well, it comes with expectations. If you're in the middle of the order, you know you've had a resume to back all of that up. You saw the home run power last night. Very important. And Matt Kemp getting off to a really good start. He ended the first half on a good run, and also last night, his first at bat, showing that that is a much improved approach. Justin Upton following suit, adding on to that lead at the end of the ball game, but the production in the middle of the order is very essential for Padre wins.
All right, so the offensive guys did their part last night. So did the pitcher, starter, and reliever. They got things done. Tonight, starting pitcher Tyson Ross has been absolutely outstanding. Seems like forever since he's allowed a home run in his last 5 starts. So good.
Different guy, and also a lot of confidence in Tyson Ross. Really a two-pitch pitcher with the two-seamer and also that devastating slider. There's an absolute wipeout pitch, but his confidence on the mound, his mound presence has been much better, and you can see the record indicates the numbers are going down, and he is getting into that frontline starter that really everyone expected.
Yeah, Tyson Ross, the only pitcher this year for the Padres with a complete game, so maybe he doesn't need help from the bullpen, but if he does, this guy has been stepping up. Marcus Mateo, more on him when we come back. Game 2 at Petco. RCP Block and Brick. Start your outdoor project at rcpblock.com. By Petco, what we feed them matters. And by Jerome's, where Jerry's price is the lowest price every day. No phony sales, just pure value.
Welcome back to Petco Park as the Padres look to grasp Game 2 of a 3-game series against the Colorado Rockies. And a highlight of last night's win was bullpen pitcher Marcus Mateo. The new addition to the bullpen is certainly being able to establish himself in tight situations. Here's what interim manager Pat Murphy had to say about the pitcher who loves to battle.
Marcus is a guy that he takes every situation the same. You know, like he's a fighter. He's going to try to get this guy out. He's coming right at you. If you beat him, you beat him. But he's coming at you. And he's not holding anything back, and he's not shying away. And I think one of his characteristics that you love is that he loves the battle. He loves the battle. He loves being out there on the mound as much as anywhere.
Coming up next, Tyson Ross has his sights set on a series win as the Padres match up against the Rockies for Game 2 of a 3-game series. First pitch is next on Fox Sports San Diego.
Can be costly. Last night, the Rockies ran themselves into trouble multiple times on the bases. And that left the door open. The Padres took advantage as they delivered a trio of impressive home runs. Tonight, Tyson Ross seeks to keep his own game mistake-free as he aims for a series win and a team record 15th straight start without allowing a homer. Don't you make an error. Stick right here for Padres and Rockies. Game 2 is next. Skies are clear in downtown San Diego as Tyson Ross and the Padres take the field for the second game of this 3-game weekend series between the Friars and the Colorado Rockies. Tyson 6-7 this year with a 3.34 ERA, and rain was definitely an issue earlier. We got some overcast skies now, but all good on the rain from here on out tonight. Rockies starting lineup is brought to you by Hyundai. And they mix it up a little bit after last night's loss, but the familiar Charlie Blackmon will be leading off, one of the most productive leadoff hitters in the National League. DJ LeMahieu up in the order, Tulo, Gonzalez, and Arenado in the middle. See Nick Hundley getting a start tonight, Brandon Barnes as well. Chad Bennis will be looking for his first big league hit. Taking a look now at our keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers and Mark Sweeney. keys to victory.
Well, Jesse, sorry, Charlie. Charlie Blackmon actually likes hitting here at Petco Park, but tonight the formidable task of going against Tyson Ross. And the Padre hitters, both all the 3, 4, 5 hitters, were very productive last night. Look for the same tonight.
Got home runs from Kemp, Jerko, and Upton, and if you can believe it, first time all season that Matt Kemp and Justin Upton went deep in the same game.
Time now for the Padres Scouting Report, brought to you by Montalvo. And for Tyson Ross, limit the walks. That's simple enough said, because when he limits the walks, he is dominating. And no one likes a Charlie in the box. Charlie Blackmon, 364 against Tyson Ross in his career.
Ross has been so good as of late in his last 5 starts, a 1.85 earned run average. Padre defense brought to you by your San Diego County Ford dealers. Upton, Venable, and Kemp in the outfield left to right. Jan Hervis Solarte, another start at third. Clint Barmas against his old team gets the start at short with Jerko Alonso on the right side and Austin Hedges behind the dish in place of Derek Norris, who gets a night off here early on in the second half. And we talk about those 5 good starts in a row for Tyson Ross. Austin Hedges behind the plate for 3 of them.
Has a lot to do with it. And you see Austin Hedges learning on the job. He's done a nice job behind the plate.
Receives that 94-mile-per-hour fastball for strike 1, and we're underway on a baseball night in San Diego. Blackmon did his thing last night as he fouls that one off at the plate. 2 for 4 with a home run and a single. Got at least 2 hits in each of his last 5 games. And you see the numbers overall, doing a great job setting the table for Colorado.
Yeah, one of those leadoff guys that really has an intimidating presence because he has pop in his bat, but also will take pitches when he has to.
And he takes strike 3 from Tyson Ross. Nice 2-seam fastball, had some movement, cutting over the inside part of the plate. And just like that, a 3-pitch strikeout to start it off.
Yeah, and you got to love him taking especially the 3rd strike. This 2-seamer, you just give up on it because it looks like it's coming in your rib cage. Nice pitch by Tyson Ross.
So he dispatches of Charlie Blackmon. And the all-star second baseman, DJ LeMahieu, stands in. Last night he hit 6th, went 2 for 4 with a single and a double. And LeMahieu takes the first ball of the night from Ross as the fastball misses 1-0. LeMahieu riding a 9-game hitting streak. He's already had a 10-game hit streak earlier this season. And during this stretch, a .472 average.
Really has improved as we see the umpires. DJ Rayburn behind the plate. Joe West, the crew chief, at first. Kerwin Danley, Rob Drake at third.
LeMahieu takes backup slider. Hits the inside corner, 2-1.
How about DJ Rayburn, home plate umpire? His parents, for graduation for college, ended up giving him a tuition.
Ground ball, and Barmas behind the bag, has to hurry, stretched by Alonso, and they got him.
Well, with Tyson Ross, the ground ball rate nearly 64%. So you understand as an infielder, you're going to have to be on your toes. Clint Barmas going to his left and making the accurate throw, and then also having trust in Yonder Alonso over there picking it. Nice job on both ends.
Pat Murphy said before the game today, probably see mostly Barmas and Middlebrooks at shortstop here in the second half of the season. As far as the starting goes, Alexi Amarista going to kind of slide back into a utility role as Troy Tulowitzki takes a fastball outside. Barmas, the veteran, longtime Rocky. Look at the little ninja. Saw Middlebrooks last night, started shortstop. Tulo reaches for that one, grounds it softly to the left side. Barmas got to hurry again, and they got him. Couple of nice plays by Clint Barmas here in the first inning. Tyson Ross works a 1-2-3 top half, and they're going to hold him up. Colorado wants to see if this is one they want to challenge. Kind of a late decision from the third base dugout. Walt Weiss on the phone and waiting. It was close at first base. Still waiting.
Well, that is very close. You saw Troy Tulowitzki when he went down looking at the umpire immediately after crossing the base.
They're not going to challenge. Tyson Ross will head to the dugout. And it is a 1-2-3 inning for Tyson, with the Padres coming up in the first.
What a start to the second half for Metcalf. Way out of here. Home run. This is just a picture-perfect power swing. How about another home run? Justin Upton joins the party.
Big first inning last night for the Padres. They'll try and replicate that success against Chad Bettis here in the second game of this series. He delivers ball one to leadoff man Jan Hervis Solarte. Tyson Ross, a nice quick 1-2-3 start to this game. And now the offense trying to help him out as Solarte lines one into right field for a leadoff single here in the first. Padres lineup is brought to you by Toyota. You just saw the leadoff man, Jan Hervis Solarte. That'll bring Yonder Alonso to the plate. Then Matt Kemp, Justin Upton, Jed Jerko, Will Venable to follow with Barmes, Hedges, and Ross. 7, 8, 9.
Time now for the Rockies scouting report, brought to you by Sleep Train. And for Chad Bettis, his 13th start of the season and also 6th on the road. Fastball's down to get ahead, works very quickly, but curveball, sliders, and changeups with runners in scoring position.
Padres got 3 runs in the first inning last night, and Bettis, along with really the entire Rocky pitching staff, has struggled in the first inning. As a team, Colorado's got a 6.37 ERA in the first.
We saw it last night, Jesse. Padres jumping on mistakes by the Colorado Rockies.
Ball and no strikes to Alonso, and first a check on Solarte, who goes back in standing up. Saw the Rockies with several big base running mistakes yesterday. Solarte wanted to stay off that list here tonight. See the numbers for Yonder: 286 average, singled in 3 at-bats last night, was hitting 6th. Just the 8th time this season he bats out of the 2-hole. Another check on Solarte, who's only attempted 1 stolen base this year.
Yeah, not known for his speed, but I like him at the top of the order. Obviously, you've seen that runners in scoring position with 2 outs, which happens a lot as leadoff hitters. He's hitting over 320 in those situations.
Ball in the dirt to Alonso, 2-0. In the clubhouse, they sort of lovingly call Solarte Slow-Arte. They have some fun with his lack of speed, but after he tripled on the last road trip, he was going around telling everybody, hey, no more.
Oh, yeah.
No more Slow-Arte. I had a triple. Another pitch out of the strike zone to Alonso, and Bettis and Nick Hundley going to have a conversation. Yonder finds himself in a 3-0 count.
No, Jesse, thinking about what's happening as we take a look at Matt Kemp, who had a great night last night. If you're base runners for the Padres, Chad Bettis likes to work down in the strike zone. Also much improved curveball and slider. So you have to read balls in the dirt. You have to anticipate that if you're the base runners. And that's how you advance. It's not always the stolen base. Trying to take that extra base is important.
Fastball misses the location that Hundley was giving him for a target, but still fills the strike zone. 3-1.
And you'll see that four-seam fastball. It has a natural cut to it, so it'll come into the lefties, away to the righties.
Hundley sets up inside this time, and Alonso hits it in the air the other way. In foul territory, Arenado at the wall, can't make the catch. Boy, we've seen him make some spectacular defensive plays, including one where he went diving into the seats in San Francisco this year, and he has that one go right off the heel of his mitt.
Yeah, I think this is shocking to a lot of people. You take a look at it, and he hit his knees, and then the concentration level. Not just knees hit that wall. He embraces himself, too. It's a long way to go after the ball. Those couple flash looks. That's shocking, him not making that play.
Look, maybe even like he started to close the glove when the knees hit. 3-2 with Solarte going, and it's a ground ball to second base. Looks like they're going to stay out of the double play. No. Wow, close at second, and LeMahieu got Solarte, and just like that, 2 outs and nobody aboard. And Solarte a little bit gimpy, heading back to the dugout after the slide.
We'll see Yonder trying to hit that hole, but DJ LeMahieu perfectly positioned and takes that accurate throw to Troy Tulowitzki. Watch Tulowitzki's arm strength. Pretty impressive.
Well, you got to have some confidence as a second baseman to try and turn that when you know the runner is going. And LeMahieu, a Gold Glove second baseman. So the base is clear for Matt Kemp. He homered in his first at bat in last night's game. Bettis working quickly with new life, and 1-1. A couple of nice double plays turned by the Rockies in this series so far. The one by Tulowitzki yesterday was all time. Last night for Kemp, first at bat against Jorge De La Rosa, not a cheapie. Hit it a long way out to left field. Reaches for that one and rolls it over to first. Little flip to the pitcher Bettis covering, and Paulson takes care of him. And that's it for the Padres here in the first. No score. April 18th of 2012, at 49 years and 150 days, Jamie Moyer, then of the Rockies, became the oldest pitcher to record a win as the Rockies beat the Pods 5-3. Prior to Jamie Moyer's effort, the oldest pitcher to win a game in the majors, Sweeney, trivia.
Jack Quinn.
That's right. Brooklyn Dodgers.
How did I know that?
Yeah, September of 32. He was 49 years and 70 days old. Jack Quinn of the Brooklyn Dodgers, 1932.
Well, Jamie Moyer, a San Diego resident, and you think of 49 years old and winning in the big leagues, a big time competitor. Never was a teammate of Jamie, but I've heard a lot of people just fell in love with his work ethic and his passion for the game.
1 ball and 1 strike to Carlos Gonzalez, another guy that pitched for quite a long time and in a relief role. Also lives in the area. Jesse Orosco.
Oh yeah,
a couple of ageless wonders.
Think
Fouled
about
off at the plate.
Jesse Orosco, and you think about the Mets and him just launching his glove up in the air after that World Championship.
1986 against the Red Sox. He and Roger McDowell, Braves pitching coach now at the back end of that bullpen. Gargo swings and misses, and Tyson Ross strikes him out. What do you know? Strikeouts and groundouts so far for Tyson.
Oh, when Tyson Ross gets on top of that slider, it comes out of his hands looking like that fastball. That's the reason why you get the swing and miss. It's very difficult to hold off on that pitch because of the velocity and because of the depth of that pitch.
Ross now will work to Nolan Arenado, the Colorado third baseman, known for his glove coming into this year. But as you see, the offense has been a big part of his game this season. Where do you want to pitch him? That works.
I think going back to it right here, exactly what James Shields did last night.
Reaches out, and Tyson's got that one himself. Little underhand flip to Alonso, 2 away. Well, all season for Tyson Ross, it's been ground outs, it's been strikeouts, and each of the first 5 outs tonight, one of those.
I think last night they exposed him in off the plate. Him thinking about that just really opens up that outside part of the plate, and that slider by Tyson Ross.
Tyson looking for his first career win against the Rockies. He's pitched well against Colorado, generally speaking, but 0-5 as he delivers ball 1 to the first baseman, Ben Paulson. Paulson 1 for 4 last night, and the one time he did get a hit, he was involved in one of those base running mistakes. Runners on the corners, 1 out, and Paulson with a full count, getting ready to go, with 2 outs, and was thrown out on what started as a pickoff to third. Hits that one in the air, left side. Solarte makes the catch, and 2 straight 1-2-3 innings for Tyson Ross. No score going to the bottom of the second.
Love the way he plays. He's a gamer. He plays every day. His endurance is pretty good, obviously, and I just like the way he goes about his business. You know, he's not very showy, he's not flashy, but he plays hard, and he gives everything he's got. And talking to him at the All-Star game was a lot of fun.
It's awesome to see. I mean, you see guys find their way and finally figure some things out, but it didn't take him long. So you know, he's fun to watch. You don't hit the ball down there at him, and you won't see anything spectacular happen.
It's great to see both of these All-Stars being able to interact at the All-Star game and appreciate each other's talent a little bit more. And as Justin takes this at bat, I think he's trying his hardest not to pull the ball, not get it anywhere near Nolan Arenado's heroics.
Yeah, no, it's probably a good idea. If you can help it, because you hit it anywhere on the ground over there, he's going to make the play. And a lot of times in the air as well, although he was unable to come up with a foul pop against Alonso. Kind of worked out for Bettis, who got the double play, but mutual admiration society there.
Yeah, I think the admiration goes a long way too, and throughout this game. At the beginning of the games, when they start stretching, you get a lot of communication between each other.
Upton pops that one up, and Paulson makes the catch. So a couple of foul pops early on here, and one away.
Well, both pitchers working extremely quickly tonight. We didn't see that last night by De La Rosa especially. But now we're seeing Tyson Ross and Chad Bettis, who is known for getting the ball and staying on the rubber and pitching very quickly.
Nice friendly nudge from Jed Jerko to Nick Hundley as he walked towards the batter's box, and he takes strike one from Bettis. Jed had the 2-run homer in the first inning last night. He also walked. Trying to get himself going here after coming back from AAA, and he hits that one out to right field. Gonzalez makes the catch, and 2 down. Rocky defense brought to you by Renovation Realty. Take a look around the diamond. A lot of good defensive players. Barnes, Blackman, and Gonzalez to the outfield. Arenado and Tulowitzki on the left side. LeMahieu and Paulson on the right side, with the former Padre Nick Hundley behind the plate catching Chad Bettis. Hundley got the night off last night. And another one of his former teammates, Will Venable, steps in. Early on, maybe a little bit of a tighter strike zone from the home plate umpire, DJ Rayburn. Mentioned Hundley and Jerko coming together here.
Yeah, I love that. Just another gentle reminder. Welcome back.
Nick's having a very nice year for the Rockies as Jose Valentin makes a slick play in the first base coach's box.
You know, Jess, we talked about DJ Rayburn, and I got cut off a little bit. His graduation present from his parents.
This is the home plate umpire.
The home plate umpire, okay. Tuition for umpire school.
Nice investment by mom and dad.
Yep, passion to do it, and there's DJ Rayburn.
Now, you don't think he's going to give any calls to DJ LeMahieu, do you? DJ thing?
I think they're both spinning records.
Couple of DJs. Gets an opportunity to work with one of the most tenured umpires of all time, Joe West, on this crew. Weather really cleared up. I mean, it was legitimately storming most of the day. Cowboy Joe at first base tonight. He'll have the dish tomorrow as Venable strikes out. And a 1-2-3 inning for Chad Bettis. His first strikeout. No score after 2 in SD. Here on a beautiful Saturday night in San Diego. Jesse Agler, Mark Sweeney, Ali Stern. Now very happy to be joined by the Padres hitting coach Mark Kotsay from the San Diego dugout. Kotz, thanks for taking a few minutes for us. How are things in the dugout?
Hey, things are great. Hoppy's got he's positioning the infielders right now. We were positioning the rain clouds earlier. We moved them out of here.
You did a nice job with that, and I think all of San Diego thanks you. And let's talk about Matt Kemp right off the bat. We saw it on the road trip. We certainly saw it last night. Swinging a good bat. Is there something noticeably different with Matt Kemp? Is he getting comfortable, or what would you say as a hitting coach?
Well, I think we made some adjustments on the road trip. We found some things that we saw on video from his past. I mean, we've looked back all the way, from 2011 forward to now, and we made a slight adjustment in his stance and tried to get him down into his legs a little bit more on his backside. So I think it's noticeable enough that if you did a side-by-side vision of him, previous maybe in May and some part of June to where he's at now, you'd probably see somewhat of a difference.
Mark, when you talk about Matt Kemp and you know the history that he's had and also the good second half last year, is that in your conversation, in your discussions with Matt Kemp, or is it just assumed that he's going to make some adjustments?
No, I think my conversation with Matt is always positive. As a hitting coach, we can tend to be negative from the results, but it's all about the confidence. And Mark, as well, hitting is about confidence. Hitting is about a feel. And until you get that feeling, it's tough. You can feel lost at times, even if you've had success here, because we don't get the break. We don't get the opportunity to really work through things. We work through things at 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the cage, and you come out and you're expected to perform, and you're making adjustments, and that's difficult to do. But Matt's a professional, and he's grinded, and we've worked, and he's feeling good right now in the batter's box. He's got confidence, and it showed before the All-Star break, and it's continued through last night and forward.
That leads me into my next question, and going well into the All-Star break and then having those 4 days off. You did it as a player. Was it difficult for you, and what's the differences as being a hitting coach? What do you try to teach these young guys how you handle that break?
Well, I think this year, I think going into the break, we had guys doing well, we had guys scuffling. I think overall, it was a good time for the break. Just to get guys away from the game a little bit, clear their mind, come back refocused, and a fresh start. And I think that's the main thing. The main objective yesterday in our hitters meeting was, hey, let's have some fun this second half. We've got a lot of offense to make up for and to have fun with, and let's just make sure we enjoy playing the game.
Nick Hundley battling Tyson Ross here to lead off the top of the third inning. Barm is at shortstop, throws him out for the first out. That gets Brandon Barnes to the plate. Hitting coach Mark Kotsay with us down in the Padre dugout. Talking about the All-Star break and coming out of it. And, Matt Kemp last year had the big second half. There are guys that have reputations as good second half hitters. What have you made of that? Guys that maybe are fast starters or slow starters, guys that kind of year in and year out fall into some kind of pattern.
Well, I think if there's enough of a track record, over the years of a career, I think you can look into it. But I think, this game it's definitely a challenge for younger players to they strive for consistency. You don't like the roller coaster ride, but you're going to have that. When you're a younger player trying to establish yourself and try and stay in the big leagues, it definitely is a challenge to be consistent on a daily and month to month. Have that approach to consistency, consistent quality plate appearances. We talked about that earlier when I was on with you guys. We judge the plate appearance. We judge your approach and every at bat. You strive to take a quality at bat.
Something you always hear too, Mark, is trust. And to this point in the year, how do you think that's going with the players and your response as a first-year hitting coach? I
think it's been well. I have a great relationship with all these guys. Alonzo Powell and myself grind with these guys every day. We pump them with confidence, which is needed here at this level. And I think they do trust the fact that we look for their best interest and try to put them in the most successful positions that we can.
3 balls and 2 strikes to Brandon Barnes with the pitcher waiting on deck. We saw Yonder Alonso a moment ago, and it seems like every night we're talking about his success against left-handed pitching this year. What do you make of I guess, Yonder's success there as Solarte makes a nice barehanded play, but not in time?
I think overall, Yonder's done a great job this year in staying with his approach, staying disciplined to the middle of the field. I think, collectively as a group, we're trying to stay to the middle of the field, do a better job with that in the second half of driving the baseball through the middle and getting the baseball up. I think our focus here going forward is to try and eliminate the chase down and get the baseball up and elevated to the middle of the diamond.
Every hitting coach needs timing aspects and also coordinating different times when you're in the cage, when you're taking batting practice. Looks to me like you got something on your left wrist. What's that?
I don't know if you can see that left wrist, but that's a brand new Apple Watch, man. This is the first ever coach's watch that I've gotten. I'm pumped about it. I can throw BP with it on. Hey, Mark, text me tomorrow, like 10 o'clock in the morning, text me. It'll come in, it'll give me this little vibration on my wrist, and I can send a little, what are those things called? Those like iMessages or whatnot?
I like those.
Yeah. Up.
Unsuccessful sacrifice for Bettis, says he pops it up to Yonder in foul territory, 2 away. One last quick one for you, Mark Kotzen. We'll let you get back to work.
Well, hold on, Jesse.
Oh, sorry,
hold
more
on
on the watch. Yeah.
No, we can get off the watch, but just on this sack bunt situation here, I want to give a shout out to our starting pitchers. We had an unsuccessful April in that category, and I think we've turned things around. We're towards the league in sack bunting. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to our starting pitching staff that's had some success in that category.
Tyson Ross has got 6 hits this year. Shields has got 7 hits this season. Bettis is 0 for his career. Still looking for the first one as the order turns over for Charlie Blackmon. 2 outs and a runner on first for Tyson Ross. Just an infield single so far. Saw a pickoff last night from James Shields as he tries one there. Kotz, I was going to ask you about Austin Hedges and the approach, for a guy that is only getting these sort of sporadic opportunities. What is the approach when that's the situation?
It's just to take quality plate appearances. I think the message for Austin is, do what you do best, and there it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what he does best. All right, on cue. Mark, really appreciate your time. Thanks for spending it with us.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Mark Kotzé, Padre hitting coach. Austin Hedges with the rocket arm. That is what he does best. Helps keep this game scoreless as we go to the bottom of the third. From Petco Park by Jack in the Box. Try the new Double Jack today only at Jack in the Box. And by Jerome's, proud sponsor of the best seats in the house. Bottom of the third inning, and the longtime Rocky Clint Barmas takes strike 1 from Chad Bettis. Barmas made his major league debut with Colorado back in 2003. Went to the Astros in 2011, last couple of years with the Pirates. And now his 13th major league season, first here in San Diego. Little hanger from Bettis, and he chops it foul.
Yeah, Clint Barnes still resides outside of Denver. He felt very comfortable where he started his career, and he's been a very good benefit for the San Diego Padres in playing that shortstop position.
Takes the 1-2 low. And, I mean, they don't need any extra help out there. They're already good enough defensively.
How about the shift?
Barmes goes down swinging. Second strikeout. And one away here in the third, as it's time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag SDDataStrongFan, and you might just see yourself in an upcoming telecast. It is brought to you by T-Mobile. Hashtag SDDataStrongFan. Here's Austin Hedges. Marcotte said, concentrate on what you do best. That's throw out would-be base stealers. Got Brandon Barnes to end the top of this inning. And now 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, Jesse, think about the development of Austin Hedges offensively. Very difficult when you're not getting a lot of at-bats. A young player, but you have to trust your process. And I think that's what Mark Kotze and Alonso Powell have tried to instill in him.
Hits that one well out to left field. Barnes is going back, and Austin Hedges has hit his second big league homer. Fourth home run of the series for San Diego, and the Padres take a 1-0 lead here in the third.
You must listen to your hitting coach and do what you do, and that's exactly what Austin Hedges does. This is a beautiful swing by Austin, and that breaking ball that sits over the middle of the plate, and he puts the barrel on it. It's such a good feeling when you know you're producing in the batting cages and trusting that process and it coming to fruition.
Tyson Ross takes ball 1. Nice moment for the 22-year-old catcher. And now a ball and a strike to Ross. Both of his homers coming here at Petco Park.
A nice moment for Mark Kotze and Alonso Powell as well.
Barnes went all the way up. Not quite. Short wall and left has invited a little bit of that this year. It's been fun watching guys try. Tyson's got the only home run for a Padre pitcher this season. He went the other way in Cincinnati.
Yeah, he's got an impressive pop going the other way.
Gets him to chase, and Tyson goes down swinging. Third strikeout and a second out here in the third.
Well, Jesse, you go back to Austin Hedges and trusting the process, but also at the big league level you have to get into a routine, and sometimes that's very difficult to choose it yourself. When you're at this level, you're not getting a lot of at-bats. Watching the veteran hitters and understanding you have to pick out something that works for you individually is very important for the young man.
Ball and no strikes to Solarte, who singled his first time up. That led off the game. The day glow is in right now.
If you're not fast, don't put laces on like that. That was the advice given to me.
Showing off his newfound speed.
If you have a triple, you can wear laces like that.
He's got the one.
He's accessorizing too.
Switch hitter hits that one up the middle. LeMahieu, nice smooth play for the third out of the inning. The Padres, though, get on the board here in the third, courtesy of Austin Hedges. His second major league home run. He got a hanging breaking ball, and he hammered it to left. Padres on top, 1-0. crisp Coors Light. Tyson Ross up to 85 2/3 homerless innings. 4th longest streak by inning in franchise history. And if he completes this start, however many innings, without giving one up, he'll tie the franchise record for most starts without allowing a homer. Not the easiest team to try and continue that streak against.
That's exactly right. Offensive weapons for the Colorado Rockies.
Charlie Blackmon was at the plate when Barnes was caught stealing to end the last inning, so he's back up there. And a 2-ball, no-strike count from Tyson. Ross has been good, and really, in the month of July, the entire Padre rotation has been doing their job. 12 games so far this month. They're 2-4, but with an ERA under 3, and opponents hitting just about 200 against Padre starters this month.
Well, coming into the year, that was the strength, especially when you sign a James Shields to add to the efforts of Andrew Cashner last year, also Ian Kennedy and Tyson Ross, the All-Star.
Blackmon 0 for 1. Tyson punched him out to start the ball game. Tyson worked a quick first and a quick second. He needed just 9 pitches in each of those 2 innings. Blackmon, nice numbers against the Padres here this season. That includes a homer and a single in last night's game. Full count.
Well, last time up he went with that 2-seamer. Let's see if he goes with the slider to give him a different look.
It's the fastball, and it just misses. So he walks him to lead off the 4th inning. And let's check in with Allie Sturm.
DJ LeMahieu, who's coming up at that, he roomed with Andrew Cashner earlier in Arizona Fall League, and I was able to catch up with both of them and ask them what it was like to be roommates with each other. So there are definitely some different personalities. Andrew said DJ was pretty quiet and very clean, which boded well for him, while DJ said Andrew was definitely the comedian, very much like Charlie Blackmon, who just took his at-bat. And I asked both of them if they still stay in touch, and DJ said, actually, I'm hoping to take a fishing trip to visit Andrew in Texas during this offseason. So, Jesse, I think there's an NL West rivalry fishing trip in the works right now.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's the guy you want to take you fishing in the offseason, Andrew Cashner. He knows all the spots, knows where all the fishes are. And that's crazy. Small baseball world, they go back to the AFL days as LeMahieu lines that one into center. Venable retrieves it, and Blackmon was thinking about third. Now backtracks to second base, and the first 2 men aboard against Ross here in the 4th.
Well, again, the nice approach by DJ LeMahieu, the All-Star for the Rockies. Taking that pitch in and looking like Derek Jeter, staying inside the baseball. Shooting into that right center gap.
LeMahieu and Troy Tulowitzki up at about 100 hits so far this season. First and second, nobody out here in the 4th as the aforementioned shortstop steps in. Grounded to Barmes his first time up. And first pitch swinging, he lines it foul, out of play.
Well, what makes Troy Tulowitzki very tough in these situations, he'll sit on a pitch. These veteran hitters that have a lot of at-bats against certain guys will sit in situations, sit in areas. Looked like he was behind on that fastball there.
Allie talking about LeMahieu and Cashner being roommates in the Arizona Fall League. LeMahieu was the clean roommate. You never want to be the clean roommate. Tulowitzki hits that one the other way, and it's going to get through for a base hit. Kemp is retrieving it. Blackmon will be held, and the Rockies are going to have 2 guys on third base. LeMahieu and Blackmon down there, and we've got another base running situation involving this Colorado ball club. Nice heads-up job by Alonso covering the plate, and eventually Blackmon will be tagged out between home and third, and Colorado with one out will have men on second and third.
Well, again, the base running circus by the Colorado Rockies, and a nice accurate throw by Matt Kemp, and Hedges doing a nice job just running it back and controlling the situation. Try to be calm, and you can see just looking in situations and knowing that you have to get an out. And to Charlie Blackmon's credit, staying in that rundown long enough to get that second and third again. Troy Tulowitzki getting the second base, and DJ LeMahieu at third.
Yeah, Blackmon essentially making a bad situation as good as it can be. But instead of bases loaded, nobody out, it'll be second and third, one out for Colorado as they continue to hurt themselves on the bases. There's strike one to Carlos Gonzalez. It was a theme last night and even tonight. Barnes caught stealing after an unsuccessful sacrifice bunt. And now this. Just missing, 1-1.
Panic has hit the stands at Petco Park. The rain is coming down.
The skies are pretty blue, so probably just a quick sprinkle.
I'm moving.
Inside, 2 balls and a strike to Gonzalez. Clay Hensley, you dry down there?
I'm trying to stay dry. We got some big raindrops coming down right now, but like you said, the skies are blue, and it's just a few clouds overhead. I think we're going to clear up pretty soon, but it's funny. Everybody's running for the hills.
I think we often talk about cold weather having an impact on pitchers and the grip on the ball. It's a 2-1 to Gonzalez, and it's grounded to third. Alonso thought about coming home, but he'll step on the base, get the shore out, and the Rockies tie it 1-1 here in the fourth. So an RBI ground out from Gonzalez, a tie game, 2 outs. Tulowitzki on second with Arenado coming to the plate. But Clay, what about rain? What kind of impact can that have, this quick fleeting rain on a pitcher? Any?
Well, I think like right now it's not going to be that big of a deal. I mean, these are just a few drops. I mean, if you get in a situation where obviously it's pouring down rain and you're losing your grip, it can kind of wreak havoc on you out there. But I think if anything right now, I think it probably feels a little bit good because it's kind of humid down here.
Tulowitzki on third as Arenado takes a fastball inside. It's funny because this is maybe as blue as we've seen the sky all day downtown. Big swing and a miss from Arenado. Took some big swings last night too.
Clay, you're seeing a lot of fastballs in off the plate to Arenado, and also that slider, and that exposing that inside part of the plate.
Yeah, I think he's taken a little bit of a page from last night. You know, you could see Shields had a little bit of trouble with him in the past and was trying to figure out a way to work him. And, you know, we touched on it in the pregame show yesterday, and I think Shields did a pretty good job, and I think Ross is following suit right now.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Arenado. And the fastball is in, 2-2. We always like to take care of the folks who are scoring at home. We do have the official scoring of that rundown. 9-2-6-5-3. 9-2-6-5-3. Arenado chops that one to third, but it's foul. You knew that, though, didn't you, Sweeney?
I knew it. I already had it down. It's a lottery ticket.
Ponchos, umbrellas, whatever it takes. Like Clay said, in the heat and the humidity, sometimes it's just a nice cool off. 2-2, just missing inside. Now a full count to Arenado with 2 outs here in the fourth.
Yeah, it looked like a little cutter trying to get that inside part of the plate.
Yeah, I think when you're out there and it's kind of raining like this, I don't think from the pitcher standpoint it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. My concern was always from the infielders.
Gets him to chase, and Ross strikes out Arenado to end the fourth inning. Rockies, though, tie it up on an RBI grounder, 1-1.
And you think about the three elements on an outstanding defensive play and the hot smash by Justin Upton played by Troy Tulowitzki. He elevates but goes the opposite way and gets a lot on the throw. DJ LeMahieu the turn, and Ben Paulson picking it on the back end for the Colorado Rockies and the defensive wizardry of Troy Tulowitzki.
Probably one of the best plays you'll see all year, made on the infield. He kind of had that Jeter jump to it a little bit, but sort of the reverse of it. I mean, great play by Tulowitzki last night, and in a big spot. Rain may have already stopped here. Yonder Alonso, first pitch swinging out to center field. Blackman tracking it, and in front of the warning track, makes the catch. And 1 pitch, 1 out for Chad Bettis here in the 4th.
I gotta tell you, swing wizardry, that's a pretty good one right there. I like that.
Well, someone must have given me that one.
Here's Matt Kemp, who we said has been hot as of late. 8 homers in his last 34 games after just 1 in his first 56.
And I think this is really the focus at the beginning, why so many people thought he was going through struggles, because it wasn't the home run production. But now you're seeing that from Matt Kemp.
.458 average during this 6-game hitting streak. And like Alonso, he swings at the first pitch. That goes out of play down the right field line.
And usually those guys mentally feel that they're coming in bunches. Being around Matt Kemp and a 3 for 4, 4 for 5 nights with big production. He knows it's in there.
Swings at the next offering from Bettis and fouls that one off. 0-2.
Now we saw the home run last night, but the 11 pitch at bat that he had, the final one, was frustration because he put some really good swings on some tough pitches, stayed in the strike zone. And those are the at bats that really help you timing wise.
Reaches for that one, can't connect, and strikeout number 4 for Bettis. Quickly 2 away here in the 4th.
You know, Chad Bettis attacks Matt Kemp, and that first pitch going down, that's what Matt Kemp wants back. That fastball that's on the plate, then the cutter just on the edge, and a nice pitcher's pitch, and then exposing him out of the strike zone with the slider.
2 outs, nobody aboard for Justin Upton. And he asked for time, but I don't know if he received it or not from DJ Rayburn.
And Chad Bettis goes off the mound smiling because he gave up on the pitch. Saw Justin Upton walking out of the batter's box and threw a ball.
No hand signal from the umpire as to whether it's 1-0 or if that was not a pitch, but I didn't see him call for time. And that one misses. So it's either 1-0 or 2-0 to Justin Upton, who has taken a couple of pitches here. All eyes on DJ Rayburn, the home plate umpire. Won't matter because Upton hits this one out to center field. Blackman on the track and in front of the wall. He makes the catch for the 3rd out of the inning. Justin Upton gave it a ride, but comes up just short. We'll head to the 5th, 1-1. Rockies, and it involved some poor base running. Carlos Gonzalez trying to go second to third on a grounder to short. Stubbs getting picked off. Blackmon also on a pickoff cut stealing situation last night. And then tonight, DJ LeMahieu trying to go second to third when Charlie Blackmon was already on third. And so instead of bases loaded, nobody out. Rockies had second and third, one out, and Walt Weiss's team only able to get the one run last inning to tie this game. That's got to be about as frustrating as it gets for a big league manager.
Yeah, Walt Weiss, his third year as a manager and driving him crazy, but also 14 years as a player in the big leagues. He was known for just the fundamentals as a player, a bona fide shortstop, but also trying to change the culture here around Colorado.
Going to be an interesting few weeks in Denver. The trade deadline approaching. They've got some big names that got to figure teams will be calling about. 1-1 to Paulson misses.
I think a lot of people are going to say Troy Tulowitzki, but people in the Colorado Rockies organization think that Carlos Gonzalez is probably going to be the guy on the move.
Some big names in action in Washington today with the Dodgers and the Nationals. Check in on those guys in a few moments. And yeah, this trade deadline is not going to be boring around Major League Baseball. Certainly doesn't look that way, at least. And when we say trade deadline, we mean really between now and the end of the month, as Paulson fouls that one back. Some other possible big names that could be moving from A to B: Johnny Cueto, Jeff Samardzija, Cole Hamels, Ben Zobrist.
Well, I think this guy right here, excuse me, this guy Ben Zobrist is the guy that's the difference maker, and a lot of people are going to talk about the pitching, but Ben Zobrist, the versatility that he brings, that's that added piece. And you think about, he's up in the Bay Area, the Giants would be a perfect spot for him. Plays so many different positions. He can play the outfield, play the infield, cover you in all areas.
Paulson battling Tyson Ross here. And the 2-2 is fouled away. Lots of souvenirs for a big Saturday night crowd here at Petco. Closed captioning for tonight's game is brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. Paulson goes up after that one, pops it up on the infield. Jed Jerko makes the catch, one away.
I go down to Clay Hensley, and watching Tyson Ross work, he's been heavy on the workload with the fastball tonight. Very aggressive with the fastball.
Well, we touched on this a while back when I was here earlier in the season, and one of the things that we were talking about Tyson Ross was the fact that if he could just get the confidence to just throw that fastball and see how far they can hit it, it's a lot easier said than done, trust me, when you're out there on the field. But whenever you can do that and you get the confidence of that seeker and you see that guys are beating it in the ground, you can see tonight he's going in the 5th inning right now with 61 pitches. It's very efficient, and you got to believe that manager Pat Murphy's happy about this.
Mentioned all the ground outs and the strikeouts. Only Brett Anderson of the Dodgers has a higher ground ball rate in the National League than Tyson Ross. And he's got the 8th most strikeouts in the National League.
One of the things that looks impressive from down here on the field is that whenever you see these guys out here, especially, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Roy Halladay whenever they're throwing that sinker and you have to look up at the scoreboard to see the velocity because you can't tell if it's a slider or a fastball. That's when you know it's on point.
Ahead of his former battery mate, Nick Hundley, 0-2. Nick lays off the slider.
That's so true, because you think of the depth that he gets with his two-seamer, but also his slider. And coming from that high release point, that's what gives you problems as the hitter.
Hundley goes down and grounds that one foul. Nick's batting average highest among all catchers in the National League. He's another guy whose name has popped up with the trade deadline approaching. Rockies, though, really seem to like what he's brought to their clubhouse, and for anybody that knows Nick Hundley, that shouldn't be any surprise.
No, you're exactly right with that. That veteran presence in the clubhouse.
2-2. Lays off again.
Well, I tell you what, I got to agree with you guys on that, though. I had the opportunity to play with Hundley when he was young, and he was a rookie coming up. And just from day one, and you can see it all the way to now, I mean, he's just put the work, he's put the time in, and he's probably starting to develop as a pretty big clubhouse leader, and you got to believe Colorado wants him to stick around.
See where Tyson has been working this season and where he's been working to Nick Hundley. That's following the script. Good battle here between Hundley and Ross. What's it like throwing to a catcher that you used to throw to, Clay?
Well, especially if it was a guy that you spent some time with, he kind of knows some of your tendencies of what you're going to do. But then you can kind of play a little bit of a chess match, you know, if he thinks you're going to be throwing that fastball because that's what you've done in the past to him.
Fastball works there. 94. He blew it by Hundley. And yeah, that's kind of a fun little cat and mouse kind of thing they must be playing.
No, it can be fun because especially if he does that and he throws a fastball where he gets him right here, you guys can tell. But if you pull the string on him and throw that changeup, you know, you guys kind of look at each other and he's like, I don't remember you doing that.
So 2 outs in the 5th. Brandon Barnes has one of the 3 Colorado hits. Caught stealing by Austin Hedges, who received strike 1 from Ross. Barnes has now hit in 5 straight games and showing a little bunt there. 1-1.
Kind of touch on that a little bit too. What kind of makes it a little fun sometimes if everybody in the stadium, including the catcher, knows you're about to throw that curveball and you throw it and he swings and misses. I'm sure you guys get some text back and forth from that one after the game.
Lays off the fastball high and away. 2-1 to Barnes. I love stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That one is lined into right field. Kemp coming on, but he's not going to be able to get there. Second hit of the night for Brandon Barnes. So he's aboard with 2 away here in the 5th. And the pitcher Bettis coming up.
Well, again, you're seeing the approach for the Colorado Rockies trying to stay inside the baseball of Tyson Ross with that 2-seam action and the run on his fastball. It's a single and right, but also turns the lineup over, which is very important.
So Bettis, who popped out trying to sacrifice his first time up, takes strike 1 from Ross. Bettis 0 for 33 in his career now. Does have an RBI. It was a ground out against Tim Hudson earlier this year. Whatever works. Hits that one on the ground. Tyson's got it. And no problem with the underhand flick. So the 2-out single does not come to pass. And we'll go to the bottom of the 5th. 1-1. Harper, strike 3. Bryce Harper, strike 3. Bryce Harper, strike 3. Dodgers would win 4-2 after the Nationals finished off the win in their suspended game from last night. Prior to that, as we take a look at the National University standings in the National League West, Harper and Kershaw, that is a heavyweight matchup, and Kershaw got him 3 times, but that did not end Bryce Harper's afternoon.
No, it didn't, and against Kenley Jansen, after striking out 3 times against Clayton Kershaw, 2-run home run in the 9th. Tells you the type of year that Bryce Harper is having. And Clay Hensley has been a teammate of Bryce Harper. You've been around. How about that year he's putting on?
Oh, man, we touched on this earlier as well. I mean, this kid is so strong. I mean, he's not even a kid anymore. He's a man-child. But, you know, you see in that the second game that they had over there, he hits one in the upper tank. Nobody moves on the field. I mean, the guy's got so much power. He's one of the strongest guys I've ever seen. And we're starting to see the production out of him now.
Jerko asking for time, not receiving it, and I think for the second time tonight, Chad Bettis delivers a ball on a pitch that the batter didn't want to see.
Yeah, and this is to the time when you have discussions as offensive players and trying to limit that quick pitch because it is intimidating. See Jed Jerko calling timeout. He steps in, and then Chad Bettis goes at it, and he's not ready. The hitter wants to be established in the batter's box. That feel that you get, that tempo. These are the discussions Nick Hundley's having with home plate umpire DJ Rayburn.
Right after all of that, a foul ball took a piece out of Rayburn and maybe Hundley as well. Those guys collect themselves in a 1-ball, 2-strike count to Jerko as Bettis gets ready to throw his 50th pitch of the night. And Jed takes it for strike 3. Fastball on the outer edge. That's strikeout number 5 for Chad Bettis, who had a career high 8 in his last start and 1 away here in the bottom of the 5th.
Well, Clay, you worked very quickly when you were out on the mound, especially as a starter, and that tempo can be intimidating for hitters. How'd you handle that?
Well, you just got to keep going at him. I mean, look, when you're on the mound and the guys are getting in the box, you know, from a pitcher standpoint, it's like he's in the box and we're ready to rock and roll. You know, Woody Williams taught me a long time ago when I first came up with San Diego that you need to work quick, you need to work efficiently, and you can see Bettis is doing that tonight.
Opposite approach of last night's starter, veteran Jorge De La Rosa. Changeup misses low, 2-0. Put a quick cap on Bryce Harper, by the way. That 2-run homer you mentioned in the 9th off of Kenley Jansen now tied him with Giancarlo Stanton for the lead. Venable hits that one hard, but LeMahieu's got it on the backhand. Throws him out, 2 away. Chad Bettis cruising.
Isn't it unbelievable that Giancarlo Stanton is still somehow leading categories and hitting home runs on the DL?
Happened last year, too.
Well, to me, he's the best power hitter in the game by far. And unfortunately, he is injured and not playing right now because I think he's one of the best stories in the game of baseball, especially when you talk about youth that's in the game of baseball these days.
Didn't get an opportunity to see him in the All-Star game as Clint Barmas fouls the first pitch back from Bettis. Probably not going to see him next weekend when the Marlins are here for 4 games, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Wouldn't expect to see Deke Gordon either. A couple of big pieces on the DL for the Marlins. Barmas in the air to right field. Gonzalez makes the catch, and another 1-2-3 inning for Bettis. Will go to the 6th, 1-1 in San Diego. The second half of this season. And what about the fact you may have a triple crown? You certainly have the chance for one. Couple of guys in the National League trying to do something that hasn't been done in a very long time and who are capable of doing so, one would think. Paul Goldschmidt with the Arizona Diamondbacks and Bryce Harper, who we were just talking about with the Nats.
Yeah, if you think about Bryce Harper, I think nationally, I think a lot of people will put Bryce Harper in that spot. But I'd like to see him just prove the health aspect of the game. And for Paul Goldschmidt, I'm a big fan because of the consistency that he brings. I don't know if he's going to get enough home runs because he's not going to get pitched to too many times. He doesn't have a lot of protection in that Diamondbacks lineup.
Stanton's injury certainly makes the power more realistic because you've got to figure if he's healthy, he's probably running away with the home run crown. Not to take anything away from Harper or Goldschmidt, both of whom are really, really special talents. Top of the order for the Rockies here in the top of the sixth, the 1-1 game. Charlie Blackmon walked his last time up, and he takes a strike from Tyson Ross, 2-1.
Just a lot of action from Tyson Ross with that fastball tonight, both the four-seam and the two-seam fastball.
Breaking ball fouled off, 2-2. Pitch number 80 from Ross tonight is fouled back to the screen.
Clay, we always hear about strike one is so important with a two-seam action that Tyson Ross has, and also you relied on the two-seamer. Is that really important, strike one?
No, it's huge because if you just throw that first pitch for a strike down in the zone and you get him to beat it down, you can get ahead of guys so early, and that's how you get efficient in this game, especially as a power sinker guy.
Line foul out of play.
When you do that, you throw that first pitch strike, you get him to foul it off. Sometimes you get him to hit it to roll over in the infield and you get out of it even quicker. But he gets him more effective because you're allowed to open up the strike zone. You're allowed to start spreading that fastball out to the black side on the inside of the out. And then you can go to the off-speed stuff, and, you know, you're ahead of the guy, and that's where you have the most success.
2-2 to Blackmon, leading off the inning, and he can't catch up to that fastball. One away.
This looked like it had a little cutting action. It starts off the plate. Just looks like you don't want to trust that because you have that slider in the back of your mind if you're the offensive guys. You could see that high release point by Tyson Ross.
5 strikeouts for Ross as LeMahieu stands in. 1 for 2. He has scored the run for Colorado.
To touch on that, Sweeney, I always felt like sometimes that was like one of the best pitches, you know, the ones that would just back up a little bit because the hitters kind of anticipating for that to drop in the zone, and then it's a little bit of a mixer. But it kind of gets them off balance, and you get away with it. If you could learn how to throw that pitch consistently, the little backup slider, man, that would be awesome.
That backup slider drove us crazy. It was it was an F7 for me a lot.
Well, maybe not off me. I think you'd probably still hit it in the gap in left center. It's happened a few times.
Yeah, my 3 at-bats.
Ross jumped ahead of LeMahieu, and now a ground ball to Barmes. Former Rocky throws him out. And 2 away here in the 6th inning. We're talking about pitching, and pitch is, time to check, the Cholula Flamethrower, 95.
Yeah, and I love hot sauce. That's 95. That's really nice hot sauce. You know where I can get a fish taco?
You go up to the roof of the Western Metal Building, and around the corner from the big Toyota sign, a place called Rimal's.
Oh, I love their fish tacos.
Troy Tulowitzki, 2 outs, nobody aboard. And ball 1.
Oh, that's where I go. It's a great spot up there to watch the game, too.
How about the home run derby next year? Roof of the Western Metal?
It's going to be a place of choice.
You have to pay attention.
That might be tough.
To get it up there?
Well, I know that. That'd be brutal.
Think it's realistic? Roof of the Western Metal home run derby?
100%.
Yeah.
might be worth a little time on the clock right there, huh?
Oh, yes.
Bonus. 3-1 to Tulowitzki. That single in the 4th inning was the play where LeMahieu tried to join Charlie Blackmon at third base. Another base running mistake by the Rockies, and ball 4 to Tulowitzki. He's aboard for the 2nd time tonight, and oh, by the way, that extends, the single his last at bat did, the streak to 40 consecutive games reached base for Tulowitzki. That's impressive.
It really is. And the consistency, and much like we talked about Matt Kemp, knowing that he's going to make adjustments, so does Troy Tulowitzki, starting off the year struggling just a little bit to a lot of his standards.
Gonzalez with 2 outs and Tulowitzki aboard. Takes strike 1. Driven in the run tonight for the Rockies. That was a ground out back in the 4th inning. The Padre run, courtesy of an Austin Hedges homer, with 1 out in the bottom of the 3rd.
Watch out, Clay.
Where's the glove? Where's the glove where I need it?
Yeah, it's not a good spot.
All you got to
there.
do is replace your feet and get out of the way, right? I think I just kissed this camera here. Smashed my nose, but we're okay.
You all right?
We're fine. We're fine.
Good gamer.
Do you guys hear my heart beating up there?
Way high with the fastball. See how close this was down there.
Coming in hot.
Oh.
Yeah, it was close. You start to realize pretty quick over here that there's not a ton of room to duck and move. But yeah, it's all right. I think my heart's beating a little fast right now. It's been a while since I've had a hard hit ball right to me without a glove on.
Yeah, you thought you were past that. Swings and misses, strike 3. A couple of Ks in the inning for Tyson Ross. And some quick moving by Clay Hensley down next to the dugout. Cargo goes down, swinging 1-1. Chad Bettis and the Rockies. How about Clay Hensley getting behind the cool dome? Is the only place that he's got. And Joe West wants to come over and make sure that everything's okay. The crew chief, and a nice handshake.
Oh, man. Not even in the game anymore and still ducking line drives.
Joe West, by the way, the crew chief for this crew, is going to be on Fox Sports San Diego later tonight, and not just standing there at first base, but on the couch at Padres Social Hour.
Wow, that's a good guess.
The post-game edition with Kurt Bavacqua And if I understand it correctly, Levac was going to host the show as he does after every Saturday night home game. And his guests will be Joe West and the famous Chicken.
Wow.
In costume. Hedges hits that one foul down the right field by. Last time up for Austin Hedges. Second home run of his big league career. Put the Padres on top 1-0. Takes that one low. 2 balls and a strike. Glad Clay Hensley moves as well as he does.
Yep.
But you know what? Protective measure, never a bad idea.
We got to be safe out here. You know, this is kind of some of the new equipment, you know, for guys that don't want to get hit in the head with balls. And, you know, if it happens again, I don't really have to worry about moving now.
Yeah, I think your good friend Todd Hutchinson, the head trainer, ended up getting you that lid.
Still getting treatment when I'm retired. What's going on?
Yeah, you got to love Hutch. He's always looking to protect players, former players. There he is.
They do a good job over here, I'll tell you what.
Hedges hits that one out to right field. Gonzalez drifting back, making the catch, and one away. Bettis working quickly and delivering strike 1 to Tyson. This is the 5th game between these two teams at Petco Park this season. And Chad Bettis, after getting Austin Hedges, as a nice backhanded stop by Paulson, will retire Tyson Ross. Has become the first Rocky pitcher to get through more than 5 innings against the Padres here in San Diego this season.
Really doing it efficiently, only 62 pitches. A lot of strikes and having his defense on their toes today.
Top of the order for San Diego, Yangervis Solarte. Padres have done well against Colorado this year. They swept a series at Petco. Split 4 in Denver back the 3rd week of April. A lot of runs. Rockies had won 4 straight games going into the All-Star break. Padres snapped that last night as they won their 3rd straight game. Change up down. 2-0 to Solarte. Led off the game with a single and grounded to second his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Hits that one well to right, and it's going to hook foul. Big swing from Yangervis Solarte. Reminds you that tonight's game is presented in HD by Sony 4K. Low outside with the changeup. 3-1 to Solarte. And ball 4. Another changeup missing to the Padre leadoff man. And that's the first walk of the night for Bettis, who in his last start tied his career high by walking 5.
A lot of aggressive approaches by the San Diego Padres, and why not if you're throwing strikes? Just a good at bat by Yangervis Solarte.
Two-out base runner for Alonso, and Yonder takes. Fastball strike. Got to figure the Padres trying to take things one step at a time coming out of the All-Star break here in mid-July. Arizona, the next team up in the National League West standings. Diamondbacks at the break, 2.5 in front of the Padres. San Diego picked up a game last night as the Giants beat the D-backs, and the Padres won their game.
I love coming out of the break and playing an extra inning game at home and taking the loss. It's tough to take for the Diamondbacks.
And tonight, the Giants up 7-2 at Chase Field in Phoenix. One-two to Yonder, misses way high. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pat Murphy said before the ball game this evening that Will Myers may be about a week away from starting to hit. Saw him playing catch down on the field before tonight's game as well as he comes back from that wrist injury. And he said when Myers returns, he would certainly expect Will to get some time in at first base.
That'll be a welcome addition. Enthusiasm for the game, and doesn't surprise me he was doing something today.
Yonder lays off the 2-2 changeup.
Got to do something. You know, and it's driving him crazy being on the disabled list. You see him always laughing, smiling, having conversations with his teammates. But an important piece for the Padres to get back on the field.
See no wrap on the left wrist. It's a good sign. He's got the strength. Starting to do some light baseball activities. Time asked for and granted.
Yeah, as long as I don't hear flat ground. Seriously. That's the one that it just
That's
drives
a pitcher's
me,
thing, right?
I know, it drives me crazy.
Not going to hear that with Will
Flat
Myers.
ground means you're a long ways away.
Lays off again, and a nice at bat by Yonder Alonso. He fell behind 0-2, laid off some tough pitches, earns a walk, and back-to-back bases on balls with 2 outs here in the 6th.
You see Walt Weiss, the manager of the Rockies, having discussions with bench coach Tom Reynolds, trying to figure out what's happening. Trying to map out the rest of the game because you're starting to see some fatigue in Chad Bettis.
Steve Foster, the pitching coach, going to go out there and give him a quick breather. He's allowed just the 1 run on 2 hits. He hadn't walked anybody until this inning with 2 outs. Free pass to Solarte, and then after getting ahead of Alonso, he walked in.
Yeah, a lot of pitches away to Matt Kemp in the first 2 at bats. So see if he tries to pick out that zone. Go to raking and going the other way.
Guys, I got to tell you down here too, I know we touched on this before and yesterday a little bit, but you know, this is the reason that Matt Kemp scares you. You know, when he's starting to see the ball like he is, it's Matt Kemp. He's in the box. He can change a game, and that's what San Diego's been missing. And I think we're starting to see that now.
Solarte at second, Alonso at first, and he rips that one into the gap in left center field. It's going to give the Padres the lead. Solarte is home. On his way is Alonso. There will not be a play at the plate. It's a 2-run double for Matt Kemp, and he extends his hitting streak to 7 games in style. 3-1 San Diego.
Well, you called it, Clay. That's what he had to do. He looked out over the plate to try to expose that. He's got a lot of pitches out. He handles that ball into the gap.
Well, look, I told you guys, I mean, look, San Diego this offseason went out to get him because they needed a difference maker in the lineup. They got it in Matt Kemp. We didn't get the production that we wanted to early on the season, but he's starting to find it now. And in this particular situation, this is when a guy like this scares you. You don't want Matt Kemp up at the plate when you got runners on first and second. I don't care if he's in a groove or he's not. It's a tough out, and look what he's doing now. He's turning the ball around and putting it in the gap.
Swing looked a lot like the good swings he had last night. And Matt Kemp maybe trying to put the Padres on his back here in the second half.
Well, also credit Solarte and also Yonder Alonso. We take a look at the side swing, a compact approach with length through the baseball, and that sound off the bat of Matt Kemp.
Ball 1 to Justin Upton. Doesn't get any easier for Bettis here. How about Kemp being all fired up when he arrived at second base?
I love the emotion of the game. That's exactly what they need from those clubhouse leaders. Those young players are watching that and feeding off of that.
Try the pickoff at second base and the throw to the first base side of the bag.
I think to touch on that too, Sweeney, when you talk about that and you see, Matt Kemp's been working his butt off trying to get out there and get ready. And you see that he's starting to get some of that production from it, and you can see the hard work's paying off, and it's got to be motivating for everybody else in this clubhouse.
Dangerous spot, 2-0 to Upton. And with first base open, he misses in with a changeup. 3 balls and no strikes. Upton, nice numbers against Colorado in his career. Plenty of games from his days in the National League West with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, good time to let loose, too, with a mistake by a young pitcher. He's looking for that.
On 3-0, the fastball misses high. And a 4-pitch walk to Justin Upton with 2 outs here in the 6th. All eyes on Walt Weiss. Wait and see if he's going to make a change here. In his last start, Bettis tied his career high walking 5. He had not walked anybody through 5 innings today. 3 walks here in the 6th. And now first and second for Jerko. First pitch swinging grounder to Arenado. Thought about the short way, goes the long way, and the side is retired. The Padres go get the big hit from big number 27. Matt Kemp's 20th double of the season got the job done. A 2-out, 2-run, 2-base hit, and the Padres lead 3-1. Tyson Ross getting the start, his first of the second half, and he has been in control. 6 strikeouts through 6 innings for the big right-hander. Austin Hedges, his second major league home run, a solo shot in the 3rd inning, gave the Padres a 1-0 lead. Colorado would tie it up. RBI ground out for Carlos Gonzalez after some more shoddy base running. That made it 1-1 in the 4th, and then Matt Kemp, a 2-out, 2-run double to left center in the bottom of the 6th inning, plated Solarte and Alonso and gave the Padres a 3-1 lead. That's where we are as we begin the 7th inning, and Matt Kemp has become the first Padre this season to get to 50 RBIs. 1 pitch, 1 out as Arenado flies to Kemp to start the 7th.
You're going to love what you're seeing from Matt Kemp. Big situations. Heard Clay Hensley talk about it. That's the reason why he was brought over here. And now you're seeing the production and the confidence rising for Matt.
Tyson Ross at 95 pitches here with 1 out in the 7th. Good numbers all the way across as he bounces one into Paulson. 1-0. couple of pop outs for Paulson. Fouled out to Alonso in the second and led off the fifth, hitting one in the air to Jerko. Tyson falls behind him. 2 balls and no strikes as Brandon Maurer starts to get loose in the San Diego pen. Three and 0. Paulson kind of platooning a little bit with Willeen Rosario at first base. Justin Morneau on the 60-day disabled list. Saw him get the start last night. Went 1 for 4 in the game. And he hits that one past Alonso and into right field for a base hit. Kemp coming over to cut it off. And I'd expect the Rockies to be somewhat conservative on the base paths the rest of this night. He was thinking about it, but slowed up as he approached first base and first base coach Eric Young Sr.
I think the message has been sent throughout the coaching staff of the Colorado Rockies.
Nick Hundley with 1 out and a runner on first. A lot of games here in San Diego. From 2008 to 2014. Traded to the Orioles last season, made it to the playoffs with Baltimore. Signed a nice free agent contract this offseason with Colorado. Saw Maurer in the bullpen. He worked the 7th last night. Tyson trying to get himself through the inning here this evening. Hits it in the air to shallow left. Barmes and Upton converging. Justin makes the call and makes the catch. Long way to run for Justin Upton, but took control of the situation. That's the 2nd out as Paulson goes back to first.
Well, I tell you what I like about this play, because it's in between. Justin Upton goes back on the ball first because of the swing of Hundley. You see him going back, planting that right foot, and then continuing in, but communicating with Clint Barmes. And coming in and making that aggressive play. As an outfielder, you want to be aggressive because that's a difficult play for the middle infielders.
Two outs, and Brandon Barnes, the number 8 hitter, swings and misses. Hit strike 1.
103 pitches on the night for Tyson Ross. This is when you have to grind it out and execute your pitches.
Taking a look over at Paulson, who had a 1-out single. And Barnes hits that one into the gap in left center. It's going to get between Upton and Venable. This is probably going to score a run for Colorado. Paulson is being waved. The throw will go to third base, and it's an RBI triple for Brandon Barnes, and a 3-2 game here with 2 outs in the top of the 7th.
When you get over 100 pitches, it's a location, and you can see down and in. And Brandon Barnes puts the barrel on the baseball, shoots that gap. You can see him athletically. There's Ben Paulson rounding and scoring on the triple. Brandon Barnes athletically getting into third base.
That's going to be it for Tyson Ross. Barnes' first triple of 2015 will chase the Padres starter. Pat Murphy comes out to get Tyson, and Brandon Maurer will come in with 2 outs, a man on third, in a 1-run game here in the top of the 7th inning. 15th consecutive start for Tyson Ross without allowing a home run. That ties the franchise record. He leads 3-2 with 2 outs here in the 7th. Pony, the leader of 4K Ultra HD. By Petco, what we feed them matters. And by your San Diego Lexus dealer. Top of the 7th inning, and Brandon Maurer on in relief of Tyson Ross. 1-run game with the tying run 90 feet away. Pitching change brought to you by El Cajon Ford.
Well, Brandon Maurer gave up the run last night, but induced Nolan Arenado into a big double play to end the inning last night.
Pinch hitter Willeen Rosario takes down Love. Gotten to a point, I think, in this season where the bullpen roles at the back end are pretty well defined for Pat Murphy and Darren Balsley. Maurer 7, Benoit 8, Kimbrel 9. And now 2-0 as Maurer misses in the dirt to Rosario. Saw Rosario as a pinch hitter last night, leading off the 9th inning against Craig Kimbrel. He struck out. Has collected 6 pinch hits this year. Takes strike 1 as Maurer's slider hits the inside corner. Barnes' RBI triple made this a 3-2 game. Ross pulled after that, and Maurer trying to finish it. Just missing. No. 96 gets the call. 2-2.
And a late call by DJ Rayburn. See that movement by Brandon Maurer coming back on that outside part of the plate.
Two to Rosario, and he reaches for the fastball, and it's a fair ball down the right field line. That'll tie the game. Barnes comes in to score. Rosario on his way to second base, and the pinch hitter Willeen Rosario collects an RBI double, and it is 3-3 here in the 7th. Tyson Ross will not find that elusive first win against the Rockies.
Now back-to-back fastballs, and you see the approach going the other way, and credit Rosario hitting the ball off the plate, keeping it inside that first base bag.
No decision for Tyson Ross tonight. That'll be the same for the Colorado starter, Chad Bettis. This one will be decided by the bullpens. Go ahead run at second. Blackman takes strike 1. Couple of strikeouts and a walk for the Colorado center fielder. Nothing in 2. Rockies had struggled mightily with runners in scoring position here at Petco this year. 0 for 9 last night. Coming into tonight, 0 for 24 on the season. But a couple of extra base hits have tied it here in the 7th, including a hit with a man in scoring position. Maurer trying to limit it with another guy out at second base.
I feel for Tyson Ross. What a great performance tonight. Attacked the strike zone with his fastball. And unfortunately is not in the decision tonight. You can see the frustration on him.
No, it's really easy for people to say, hey, win-loss record for a pitcher isn't all that indicative of things. And it's true. I agree with that. I subscribe to that. But as a pitcher, it's got to be a frustrating situation. Nice stop by Hedges. Those wins matter to the pitchers.
Yes, they do. I'm sure you identify that you have that type of stuff tonight where you can dominate any lineup in the big leagues.
One and 2 to Blackman, and Maurer misses outside. Venable, Barmes, and Hedges, who's got a homer tonight, due up in the bottom of the inning for the Padres. San Diego led 3-1 at the beginning of this season. Inning, excuse me. A couple of big 2-out extra base hits for the Rockies made it 3-2 and 3-3. Ball 3 as the slider misses down in the dirt. And a full count from Brandon Maurer to Charlie Blackmon. In your keys to the game, Mark Sweeney wanted to make sure that Charlie was kept in check. Good job by Tyson Ross. Now big AB here against Brandon Maurer. In the air, shallow center field. Venable coming on. He makes the catch, and that is the third out of the inning. The Rockies, though, get a couple of big extra base hits, and we're tied 3-3. Game, family affair on a baseball night in San Diego.
What a smile.
I imagine the three of them liked what they saw out of Tyson Ross tonight.
Yeah, and I did too, because he was heavy on the fastball. You saw the two-seamer, especially the Charlie Blackmon, and then you could see the slider always there, but exposing the hitters early was strike one and then expanding the strike zone. But the aggressiveness, the confidence in Tyson Ross tonight.
No decision for Ross. He goes 6 2/3. And as you see, allowed just 3 runs on 6 hits, 6 strikeouts, and he has tied the San Diego Padre franchise record by going 15 consecutive starts without allowing a home run. Last long ball against Tyson Ross was on April 28th. Christian Friedrich, left-hander, comes in, and with Will Venable scheduled to hit, the Padres will pinch hit, and Melvin Upton Jr. bats for the first time tonight.
Christian Friedrich relies heavily on the fastball slider combination, also has the curveball to go along with it, but will stay with that glove side. You'll see him more comfortable on the glove side than the arm side.
Upton takes strike 1. Melvin started the game last night. Come on here as a pinch hitter. Stay in the game to play center field. Friedrich bounces that one in. 2 balls and a strike. It has turned into an absolutely beautiful summer evening downtown. Upton holds off on the inside fastball. 3-1 from Friedrich. Melvin Upton Jr. 2 for 8 this year in a pinch hit spot. Talked a lot about Kemp's numbers in the second half. If you look at the big years that Melvin Upton Jr. had, as he takes ball 4, had a 28 homer year, a 24 homer year, big second halves then as well. All right, as promised earlier in the night, we've got tonight's T-Mobile strongest fan photo. Tweet yours using hashtag SDDataStrongFan for a chance to be shown in an upcoming broadcast. It is brought to you by T-Mobile and at Woo Woo Face is hanging out not only with her own dog, but I believe that's a Blue Muse, the cat from Petco. Friedrich faces just one batter, and he walks Melvin Upton Jr., so the leadoff man aboard for the Padres in a tie game here in the 7th. Walt Weiss comes out, and he will go back to the bullpen after 5 pitches here. Nobody out in the bottom of the 7th. Matt Kemp providing some electricity in the 6th inning for the Padres tonight. Tie game 3-3 with Colorado here in the bottom of the 7th inning, and Tommy Kahnle becomes the second pitcher used by the Rockies here this inning.
Yeah, better against righties, as you can see the splits, but Tommy Kahnle can waver with control. Upwards to 100 miles an hour on the fastball. Sits right around 96 miles an hour, but a changeup and a slider to go along with that.
54 games out of the bullpen for the Rockies last year. Kahnle came to Colorado as part of the Rule 5 draft the year before that. Came up through the Yankee organization out of Lynn University in Boca Raton, Florida. Division II.
When you think about opportunities for the San Diego Padres, and with Clint Barmas in the batter's box, there's hit and run possibilities, especially with the heavy on the fastballs with Tommy Kahnle, but also speed on the base pass, Melvin Upton Jr.
Got speed at first and a very professional hitter at the plate in Clint Barmas. See how Pat Murphy decides to play this one. Got some good infielders defensively as Upton stretches the lead out. Barmas 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout. And the first pitch is a 96-mile-per-hour fastball, low outside, ball 1.
When you see wavering of command, that's what you want to do. You want to try to change those times. See the slide step by Kahnle there. Pat Murphy and bench coach Dave Roberts.
Long pause from Canely as he tries to control the running game, and the changeup is tapped foul outside of third. 1-1 to Clint Barmes. Rockies trail 3-1 as we began the 7th inning. They tied it in the top half. Leadoff walk issued by Christian Friedrich to Melvin Upton Jr., who was pinch hitting, and now Canely on to face Barmes. That one's hit well out to left. Clint Barmes against his old team takes it way out of here. And the Padres are back in front, 5-3.
You play against your former team, you understand what has to happen. You have that slight bit of motivation in the back of your mind, and Clint Barmes comes up huge. You think that pitch needed to be down, and it's elevated, which is a lot easier for the adjustment swing of Clint Barmes, and the sound. What a great moment for Clint Barmes.
Clint Barmes has hit 3 home runs this season. 2 against his old team, the Rockies, and 1 against Clayton Kershaw. Making them count.
Well, they're never going to say it's not motivating to play against your former teams, but that's exactly what it is.
Still nobody out. The bullpen has let Walt Weiss down, and Austin Hedges cannot hold up on that 95-mile-per-hour offering. Padres have been good late in games. Hedges reaches and fouls that one back. 7th inning, 8th inning, 9th inning, extra innings. Padres have put up more runs than any other team in the National League, and by kind of a lot.
Yeah, that shows the type of personality that these hitters and how they grind out at bats.
1-2 to Hedges, who's got a home run himself tonight. And that's a fair ball. Arenado, the long jump throw, and you know it. Nolan Arenado does it again. From foul territory, he throws out Austin Hedges, and he makes another Gold Glove play at third base.
Well, you think about the struggles he's had offensively, but defensively coming up with this huge play. And the strength of the arm and the accuracy. Every single night you see a highlight reel play.
Just incredible. Pinch hitter Brett Wallace with 1 out. And he swings and misses at a changeup from Canely. 1-0. 0-1. Pardon me. Wallace 3 for 11 as a pinch hitter this year. Has a couple of RBIs in that spot. 16th time he's appearing in a game for the Pods. And he hits that one well to right center field. 4th pinch hit of the season for Brett Wallace. A 1-out single here in the 7th.
Well, if you're coming off the bench, you got to hit the cheese, and Brett Wallace gets that fastball that's elevated. He shoots it in the gap. That's a nice piece of hitting, putting the barrel on the baseball.
Top of the order for San Diego as they look for more here in the 7th.
You know, Jesse, you go back to that at bat that Clint Barmes put on. He saw 2 changeups. But for Tommy Canely getting beat by his second pitch, it's a guy that throws upwards to 100 miles an hour, and he's getting beat by that changeup. It's going to be so frustrating, but to the benefit of Clint Barmes putting the barrel on it.
Solarte, who walked last time, takes ball 1 from Canely. After the leadoff walk to Melvin Upton Jr., Barmes at the plate. I'm sure a lot of people around the ballpark, including guys down in the Colorado dugout, were thinking about, all right, how's Pat Murphy going to play this one? He's got, professional veteran guy at the plate. He's got speed at first, and Barmes with a home run. That one's lifted into right. Gonzalez had it played perfectly, 2 away.
Well, Alonzo Powell, the assistant hitting coach, we had Mark Kotze on, but think about what they do and the hours that they put in to all of these guys. You think about what they've come out of the break as prepared, ready. The process is there for Clint Barmes and everybody else. Obviously, you could talk about Matt Kemp all night, but you got to be impressed of how they've really put these players in positive situations.
2 outs, man on first, and Yonder Alonso becomes the 6th man to bat this inning. Nice stop by Nick Hundley. Alonso, like Solarte, came in to score on the 2-run double by Matt Kemp last inning. That gave the Padres a 3-1 lead. Colorado came back to tie it, 3-3 in the top of the 7th. And the Padres back on top here in the bottom half on Clint Barmes' 3rd home run of the season. Five homers in the 2 games of this series so far for San Diego. None of them wall scrapers.
Exactly right. Loud noises.
Nice changeup, and Alonso misses. 2-1. Joaquin Benoit, Kevin Quackenbush. Benoit did his thing in the 8th inning last night, a 1-2-3 frame with a couple of strikeouts. Wallace leads off first. And Alonso swings and misses, 2-2.
Well, you might say why the 2 right-handers, Kevin Quackenbush, if they extend the lead, will probably come in. But if it stays the same, I would think Joaquin Benoit would come in. It's like Joaquin is ready in the bullpen.
Two to Yonder, and ball 3 low. So with 2 outs and a full count, Wallace will get the head start at first, and Matt Kemp hopes to get the opportunity to hit again here in the 7th. Wallace off, and the 3-2 is swung on and missed. Change up away, and he got Yonder. But the Padres do their damage. Clint Barmes did the damage. A 2-run home run off of Tommy Canely here in the 7th inning, and the Padres are back on top, 5-3.
courtesy of Clint Barman. Big two-run shot there to give the Padres the lead in the 8th inning. Clay and I are working on Padres Live, the postgame show, which will be brought to you by Cox Communication. And Clay, we knew going in what Tyson Ross needed to do, be efficient. What I didn't expect him to do was lean so heavily on that fastball. You're a sinker guy. You knew what he had.
Yeah, he did a great job tonight. He went out there and he threw that fastball, and he asked for Colorado to prove to me that you can hit it and continue to pound it. Did a good job, very efficient. You got to believe Pat Murphy's happy with him.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not going to qualify for the win, but the big picture and the most important picture you can paint is that the Padres just flat need a win. Who gets it is of no consequence, really. So when we see you in the postgame show, we're going to talk about everything that happened on the field. Also, got a great highlight for you as a current and reigning MVP was battling a prospective MVP. We'll show you how that matchup panned out. And we're going to have a preview of Padres Social Hour with Kurt Bavacqua, who has got a San Diego icon with him as a special guest. So we'll see you today after the final out. Jesse and Mark.
All right, looking forward to that. Thank you very much, Mike and Clay. Joaquin Benoit and DJ LeMahieu will do battle for the second consecutive night as the setup man is on for the Padres. LeMahieu to be followed by Tulowitzki and Gonzalez. 5-3 Padre lead. And that is ball 2.
Well, for Joaquin Benoit last night, an inning of work, 2 strikeouts, and that changeup was filthy.
Got LeMahieu looking for out number 2. DJ ahead of him now, and that's a strike. 2-1. Mayhew had the single back in the 4th inning. That extended his hit streak to 10 games. It's already his second 10-game hitting streak of the season. Lays off, and now 3-1 to the leadoff man here in the 8th. Tyson Ross started for the Padres. He will not factor into the decision. Allowed 3 runs, pitched into the 7th. Brandon Maurer got the last out in the 7th. And now Joaquin Benoit here in the 8th. Strike 2 at the top of the zone. And a full count to the Colorado second baseman. Strike 3 called. LeMahieu goes down looking. And for the second consecutive night, Benoit punches him out.
Well, you see the fastball in our Fox Tracks by Nissan right down on the bottom of the strike zone. And good framing by Austin Hedges, bringing that up into the strike zone. Getting the call.
Rookie catcher certainly doing his part tonight. Home run. The runner out trying to steal second. Handling the pitchers. Tulowitzki out in front, strike 1.
Well, to your point and thinking about it, everything is around Tyson Ross, but meshing as a young catcher with Tyson Ross is Austin Hedges, executing the game plan and the pitch framing, and looks very comfortable back there.
Nice tailing fastball, 0-2 on Tulowitzki.
Also throwing out that runner at second base when we had hitting coach Mark Kotze on.
Day game tomorrow, 1:10 first pitch. Andrew Kashner will be on the mound. 1-2 to Tulowitzki, and he hits that one well down the left field line, but it is a foul ball. You saw that ball kind of roll up against the tarp down the left field line. Normally, see those panels behind it?
they store it in those panels. It's not even out on the field. But when there is rain in the area, as there was today, they leave it rolled out there for easy access. So you don't often see that thing.
Yeah, I can't believe they even have a tarp.
It's usually hidden. Benoit struck out. LeMahieu looking. And now 2-2 to Tulowitzki.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he has a feel for that changeup tonight. Saw good action, good arm speed last night. See if he goes to it as we look at pitching coach Darren Balsley.
Bird's eye view on 2-2. Big cut at the 94-mile-per-hour fastball. A couple of veteran guys that know what they're doing here. Joaquin Benoit and Troy Tulowitzki.
Yeah, that's what Joaquin likes to do. Throw that changeup right at that level. Let it drop right below the strike zone.
Another 2-2. Down by the feet and another full count. Edges away for Tulowitzki to get into the box. And Tulowitzki will step back out. Saw a good amount of this last night.
A little gamesmanship.
Payoff pitch to Tulowitzki is hit well out to left. Upton can do nothing but watch. That one is up on the second level of the Western Metal Building. A home run for Troy Tulowitzki, his 11th of the year. And it is a one-run game here in the 8th.
Jesse, we saw a lot of shakeoffs by Joaquin Benoit on that at bat. Didn't look like they were syncing up. And you look at the slider getting beat on his third best pitch. And the location of the slider speeds up the bat of Troy Tulowitzki.
Now a 5-4 game as another dangerous batter. Carlos Gonzalez takes a big swing and a miss at a fastball. Off the bat at 96.6 miles per hour. Fastball high, 1-1. Two hits and 4 bases for Gonzalez against Benoit. Fastball hits the inside corner, 1-2.
You can see, Jesse, with Solarte, the third baseman, on the right side. They're loaded up on the right side with the infielders, plus in the outfield being on that outfield side with the pull hitter, Carlos Gonzalez.
And he tips that one into Hedges' mitt, strike 3. So a couple of strikeouts in the inning for Benoit, but also the homer. And with 2 outs, another dangerous Rockies hitter, Nolan Arenado.
Oh, pitching over the barrel of the bat. See Carlos Gonzalez underneath that high fastball. That has been the game plan for the Padres.
Arenado, the leading home run man for the Rockies this year with 24. He takes just high. Arenado singled in his first at bat last night, then strikeout, double play. Tonight, ground out, strikeout, fly out. He's looked frustrated at times. And he fouls that one back, 1-1.
Well, he has an aggressive approach, but he looks to me like he's over-swinging at times. Get that with a lot of foul balls, expanding the strike zone. I think how the Padres have attacked him, showing inside off the plate, trying to get him away.
Out in front and taps that one foul. 1-2.
Even the changeup in. See him getting outside the baseball and fouling it off.
Benoit trying to keep this a one-run game. Kemp and Upton will lead off the bottom of this inning. Two. And Arenado goes down and hits it on a line to Barmes, who makes the catch for the third out of the inning. It'll be Matt Kemp, Justin Upton, and Jed Jerko stepping to the plate in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's a one-run game after Tulowitzki's homer brings Colorado closer. Eighth inning, Matt Kemp will lead it off against LaTroy Hawkins, and it's time now for the top tier player profile brought to you by Arco, and it is Matt Kemp. That's a nice week in the big leagues.
Yeah, and he's hot, and which is a good sign for the Padres, but what the good players do is they extend that hot streak, and Matt Kemp tonight has really played into the offense again. Those numbers keep creeping up.
Two-run double in the 6th inning gave the Padres a 2-run lead, and 42-year-old LaTroy Hawkins.
21st season in the big leagues, and you can see LaTroy Hawkins, who has closed games for the Colorado Rockies, but now out of the bullpen. And you can see the splits. The righties have had their way with LaTroy, but the lefties are struggling to a 200 average.
Hawkins announced before this season it would be his last in the major leagues. Closing in on the top 10 list for most appearances in Major League history. That's a goal of his before the season is out. Certainly an understandable one. Now an even 100 games here at Petco Park for Matt Kemp as a Dodger and a Padre. Take that.
It's pretty good numbers in 100 games.
And he takes a fastball right on the outside corner from Hawkins, 0-1. Mentioned the 2-run double in the 6th. That gave the Padres a 3-1 lead. And it looked like it was going to be a pitcher's duel between Ross and Bettis. Has turned into something a little bit different. Hawkins really is incredible.
Yeah, you see LaTroy Hawkins. He's a strike thrower, and he also incorporates a quick pitch, which he did last time. Just trying to change up the timing of the hitters.
Made his major league debut with the Twins back in 1995. Cubs, Giants, Orioles, Yankees, Astros, Brewers, Angels, Mets, now Rockies. Last time up for Matt Kemp, 2 outs, 2 men on, 2 men home. Split the gap in left center field. Nice job by Solarte and Alonso making their way to the plate, and he was all fired up at second base.
I love the emotion. Got to have more of it, especially in this second half.
He's doing his part in the first 2 games. Ooh. Trying to get out of the way of that one, and the ball got a piece of the bat, fouled it back.
Yeah, this one traces in on Matt Kemp and just pulling his hands in to protect himself. Not a good feeling.
Got a hole on the right side of the infield with 3 guys shifted to the left. And he hits that one the other way, but in the air and foul out of play.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the San Diego Padres and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
That's a lot of innings. I think now about 14 appearances away from that top 10 list. .1995. Kemp is all tied up, swings and misses, and so Hawkins comes in and strikes out the 30-year-old Matt Kemp, 1 away.
Well, he did it with changing times and also the changeup off of that fastball that traced in on Matt Kemp before. He throws the changeup in that similar spot. That's a veteran guy that knows how to pitch and knows where to locate.
Last night, the Padres led by a run in the 8th. And with Rafael Betancourt on the mound, Justin Upton smoked one to left. Made it a 2-run game. Same situation tonight, different result. Hawkins handles it, 2 away. Greg Kimbrell picked up his 24th save of the season last night. He has closed out 3 consecutive ball games for the Padres, going back to Texas before the All-Star break.
I think the importance of the San Diego Padres just getting the ball to start this second half to Craig Kimbrell twice was very important.
First pitch to Jerko is topped on the ground to the left side. Arenado can expect to have trouble with that. He does not. And a 1-2-3 8th inning for the 42-year-old LaTroy Hawkins. Craig Kimbrell is next. 5-4 San Diego. Clint Barnes defensively against his old team, going almost 53 feet to make this play earlier on tonight and getting DJ LeMahieu. Goes another 50 feet out of the shift to charge in and make this defensive effort. And then late in the game, we were tied in the 7th, and against his whole team, he makes Matt Kemp very happy, leaving the yard a 2-run home run.
Yes, you got to show them what they miss. Like Barmes has done that tonight for the San Diego Padres, getting the ball to Craig Kimbrell.
24 saves, 25 chances. Each of the last 3 Padre games have been wins, and each of the last 3 have ended with Kimbrell getting the final out. He will face Ben Paulson, Nick Huntley, and Brandon Barnes. 6, 7, and 8. Big swing and a miss. 96 out of the gate from Kimbrell.
Yeah, getting over 96. Ben Paulson nods his head. Pretty firm.
Blackman grounded out to end the game against Kimbrell last night. And now Craig ahead of him, 1-2. Coming up after the game, Padres Live, the post-game show. Mike Pomerantz, Clay Hensley. Break down what Tyson Ross did tonight. And if things go as planned here tonight, they'll be talking about a 4-game winning streak. One and 2 to Paulson. Got him. 97 from Kimbrell, 1 away.
Yeah, he wants it up. Austin Hedges, you can see that mitt. He rears back and gets behind that 4-seam fastball and puts away Paulson.
Former Padre Nick Hundley. Misses low. Ball 1. Last year, Padres got Kimbrell when he was a Brave, and Hundley with a big home run. Taking a look back at our keys to the game, which are brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Yeah, so important to take care of Charlie Blackmon. 0 for 3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. Padres 3-4-5 hitters, 1 for 12. Not like last night, but the 2 big RBIs by Matt Kemp.
Nasty curveball, strike 2.
Okay, you're hunting the fastball. And here comes that tight curveball that buckles your knees.
One and 2 to Hundley. And a little tapper foul outside of third. First of the 3 straight wins for the Padres was last Saturday night in Texas. Kimbrell struck out the side that night. Got him. Straight cheese, 97. 2 away.
Well, when that curveball's in the back of your mind, Austin Hedges again looking for that elevated fastball. Craig Kimbrell reaches back and throws that four-seamer right by Nick Hundley.
Struck out Paulson, struck out Hundley, and now Brandon Barnes. Big night for the Colorado left fielder. Only seen Kimbrell twice. Barnes an RBI and a triple in his last at bat. 3 for 3 on the evening. That was against Tyson Ross. This is against Craig Kimbrell. 1-1. Ground ball to third, but foul. Kimbrell now a strike away. Trying to pick up save number 25 in style.
See if that elevate that fastball again to finish him.
Does, and Barnes able to lay off 2-2.
Well, it's such an important pitch because if you can pitch at the top of the strike zone, especially with that curveball, there's so many options. Now you have the hitter guessing.
Got him! Craig Kimbrell strikes out the side. The Padres have won 4 in a row. He's got 25 saves. And Clint Farmas hurts his old team in a big way on a big night for Matt Kemp. Tomorrow afternoon, the Padres will go for the sweep. They win it 5-4 tonight. Padres Live is up next. Mike Pomerantz.
Jesse, thanks very much. When we see in just a couple of moments, we're going to recap Clint Farmas' heroics, show you the defense as well as the big home run. You're going to hear from Pat Murphy. We're going to talk Matt Kemp and a battle of an MVP against a prospective MVP. All that and more coming up in moments on the postgame show.